Today we will talk about Revelation, chapters 15 and 16. Obviously, since we have about approximately 10 minutes, we cannot analyze every verse, but what we can do, we can concentrate on the most important things. After the message of the three angels, we encounter a scene of the two great harvests, the one and another. In Revelation 14, verses 14 through 20, we see the end of the last warning proclamation. The great separation will happen. The righteous will be separated from the wicked. There will be the reaping of grain and the gathering of the grapes separately. The grain harvest describes God's people, whereas the execution of God's judgment is portrayed as grapes thrown in the winepress. In chapter 15, Yohanan or John describes those who overcame the beast and his image and the number of his name. It doesn't mean that they have overcome already, but it's in the past from Yohanan's perspective. It doesn't mean that they will be raptured before the last persecution. This means that their victory is predicted and predetermined by God because they are going to fight by the power of the Messiah. It's amazing. After this vision of the triumph of the righteous, we see the seven angels. I mentioned previously that the three angels proclaim their message similarly to the celebration of the Rosh Hashanah or the Feast of Trumpets. What would be expected after that? Obviously, it would be expected to see Yom Kippur, or the Day of Atonement. That is why Revelation 15:5 tells us, "After these things I looked, and the temple of the tent of witness in heaven was opened." What does this mean? The Holy of Holies was accessible, was opened figuratively, because only the high priest would be able to enter. It would be accessible to the high priest only once a year on Yom Kippur. Revelation 15, verse 6 reads, "Out of the temple came the seven angels having the seven plagues, dressed in pure, bright linen, and wearing white gold sashes around their chests. The angels are dressed in priestly robes and ready for the Day of Atonement." Here is the execution of God's judgment. The seven last plagues are very similar to the seven trumpets. Let us make a brief comparison. The first trumpet and the first bowl, they affect the earth. The second ones affect the sea. Then the third ones fall on the rivers. After that, the sun, the moon, and the stars are mentioned in the context of the fourth trumpet and the fourth bowl. The fifth trumpet and the fifth bowl introduce darkness. The river Euphrates is mentioned in the context of the sixth trumpet and plague. Finally, the seventh trumpet and the seventh bowl are accompanied by a loud voice. So, the trumpets and also the bowls are similar. But even if the trumpets are similar to the last seven plagues, they have many differences. The most crucial difference is the time of these events. When we studied the trumpets, we concluded that they started sounding approximately 2000 years ago. Their purpose was to warn. The plagues will happen at the very end, right before the second coming. Their purpose is to punish. No warnings anymore. Let us read the text. Revelation chapter 16 verse 2 tells us, "So the first angel went and poured out his bowl on the earth, and foul and painful boils came upon the people having the mark of the beast and worshipping his image." In the end, there will be no opportunity to hide your identity. It will be obvious. The second bowl destroys the sea, which likely means the world economy collapses. You cannot do any commercial transactions without the sea. Revelation 16 verse 4, "Then the third angel poured out his bowl into the rivers and the springs of water." As a result, the wicked drink blood because they poured the blood of the righteous. The sinners are not left unpunished. God sees everything. What will the righteous drink? We don't know, but God will provide. The fourth and the fifth bowls are remarkable. The fourth bowl produces terrible sunlight and people are scorched with fire. But the fifth bowl is the opposite. It brings darkness. While the sun destroys humans, the darkness destroys the beast's throne. It is destroyed by the plague. And then the sixth and the seventh bowls finalize God's judgment. These two last plagues are mysterious, and predicting how they will be fulfilled is very tough. When we look at the last bowls, we see that the final punishment will eventually come to this earth. How will it happen? We don't know, but it will be very, very painful. The righteous will be separated again from the wicked. There will be the reaping of the grain and the gathering of the grapes. The grain harvest describes God's people, whereas the execution of God's judgment is portrayed as grapes thrown in the winepress. It is our choice today whom to worship and whom to become. We may choose to worship the Creator, or we may worship the dragon. We may become the grain of righteousness and spend eternity in the New Jerusalem, or we may become the grapes of wickedness and be deprived of eternity forever. It's time to make our choice.